Hi there, this is Åsa from Kelpiphoto, and I'm going to show you a few tricks to use for eyes. Here we have a beautiful black Labrador, and I feel that if I could make the eyes pop even more, this image would be stronger. So that is a common problem when you shoot black dogs. I still want to keep the surroundings. I don't want to make them any lighter. I want the dog to be a little bit brighter, and I want to focus on those eyes. So right now I'm in Lightroom. I'll show a few small tricks here, and then I'll move the image to Photoshop, and I'll show what you can do there. The first thing I'm going to do is choose a brush, because I don't want to do anything with the surroundings. I only want to do things with the dog. And I want to brighten the shadows a little bit. I want to increase the sharpness, and that means I most likely have to reduce the noise as well. I want to bring a little bit more clarity, and I want to bring out the whites and the highlights. Let's see how this works. I'll just paint over the dog. I have a little bit of feather on my brush. You can see there are 2 lines there, and that means that the transition goes quite seamless. Now I have made the dog a bit brighter. I can see on this dot where the effect is. I think that looks nicer. I can always check if I like this or not by pressing Y before and after. I press Y again and come back to my full screen. I like how the shadows are a bit brighter, so I can see more detail in the fur. I want to increase a little bit more contrast. Let's see how that works. Let's make it a little whiter. And let's raise the clarity some more, because I like photos that are full of contrast but still brings out detail. I think that looks nice for the whole of the dog. So I will press New up here. You see this little circle gets unmarked. So I'll press the space key and click and get a close-up. You can see the photo is not 100% sharp. That does not bother me, because it looks nice when I have it in the frame I want. Now I can focus on only the eyes and the surrounding area. So I'll make this a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller. And I'll feather it out. Now I can work with only the eyes. So I still have the same settings, but it will make a new impact. So the eyes are a little bit brighter. I can see a little bit more detail. They are a little bit sharper. That's always nice. There's the balance between sharp but not over sharp. Let's see what happens if we increase clarity a bit more. Bring out the whites. And just touch that exposure slide. Yep, I like that. And I will also bring out some of the brown in the eyes, simply by increasing saturation. And there we go. Pressing Y to see before any changes and after. Yep, I'm satisfied. Pressing Y again, back. Holding down space, clicking once, getting out, and done. There we go. Let's see it in full size. Before, after. Yep, that looks nice. So now I'm going to reset this image. Keep in mind what it looks like. And I'm going to move it to Photoshop to show you what I can do there. I think I'll hum a little tune to you. Bum 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 bum. It's not my singing that makes me do videos, obviously. It's just to entertain you while the photo opens up. Woohoo! The hourglass is working. Photoshop complaining on my computer. Reading camera raw format. And here we go. And I'm actually going to move this to camera raw by filter. Camera raw filter. Come on, slow computer. And here I have my sliders that I like to work with. I have my adjustment brush. And I can do basically the same thing that I did in Lightroom. I can do here. I'll just make sure that all my sliders are set to 0 before I start. I'm going to need to make my brush a bit bigger. That's a bit too big. And start lifting the shadows, a bit clarity, a bit of contrast, highlights and whites. And just paint over the dog. See what it looks like. Yeah, looks kinda nice. And then I'll go into detail. New brush. Size it down. There we go. That brings out the eyes nicely. I'll add a little bit of sharpness and a little bit of noise reduction. And I can press on the double arrow here to see before and after. I'll just make that active again and just touch that exposure button a little bit. And here you have a slider called Dehaze that normally does kind of nice things paired with the exposure. I think I got a little overboard there. There you go. And you can see that I have now gotten a bit too light outside the eyes. I don't like that. So I'm going to press Alt and just take that away. Let's see what it looks like before and after. That brings out the eyes nicely. I think they could be even a little bit brighter. That's too much. Let's bring down the black. And lift those shadows 2 millimeters. And I keep checking before and after. Am I pleased with this? And erasing where I don't want it to be. Let's see what it looks like. That looks nice. Before and after. Now, as you can see, this eye is a little bit darker than that eye, so I can go in again and work with only this eye. And I don't think I will have to do this much. I just double click the sliders to pop them right back at 0. And I'm going to just brighten this a little bit. I check that I have new here. Exposure up slightly. And I'll just press Alt and erase the effect around. It's not a big thing, but it's a small thing. And it's the small things that make all the difference. And there we go. Yep, I'm pleased with that one. But I'm going to show you yet another way to do this. So I'll press Cancel. And there we are, back to the other image. Just make it fill the screen. And I'll do curves. With this tool I can modify if I want to raise the whites a bit, bring down the midtones to where it was, bring out more details in the shadows. As you can see, what I do now affects the whole of the photo. Either you like it or you don't. I almost always bring out the highlights and put in a little warm white because I like the effect that gives. But as I have before tried not to touch the background, we will do the same here. So I have a layer mask here. I'll click it, press Ctrl I, that inverts it and hides all the changes I did. Then I press my brush, make sure the color is white, choose size that won't make me work forever. I normally use a really soft brush. And just paint the area I wanted to change. So we can see before and after. I think this is a little lacking in contrast, so I'll bring up brightness and contrast. And just increase the contrast a bit. And make it work with brightness. So before, after, before, after. I only look at the dog at this point because I will click on this, press Alt and drag it over here. Replace layer mask, yes. So now I have duplicated the layer mask that I used, and it only affects the dog. Before, after. So let's see what we started with. So you can see that the changes I make in Photoshop are much smaller and subtler, and that means I can use with multiple layers and keep adding effects, and I have a lot of control over what's happening, and I can always choose to see if I close that down, will it make it better or worse. I can go back and I can change this again and see what happens. You don't have to do things as exaggerated as I do to show you how it's done. And that way you can adjust your photo even after you have kept working with it. And that is, I think, a big advantage of using Photoshop and different layers. I could even, if I want to, duplicate this background layer. No, I don't think I'll do that. I'll flatten it first. Flatten image. And now I'll duplicate it. I press Ctrl J. And I can bring this layer into Camera Raw. Do the adjustments I like, whatever they may be. I'll do something big for you to clearly see. Press OK. Add a layer mask. Invert the layer. Ctrl I. And then use the brush white color to make the effect appear where I want it to. And if I think it's a little bit strong, I may think that I can change the opacity of that layer and make it as strong or as subtle as I want to. I can also go in on this layer mask and change the color of my brush to black. I press X. That changes the color. If I only want to affect the eyes, the black color will take away the changes that I have in this layer. It will make it not visible. And the white color, I press X, change, will make it reappear. I press on the eye to see what it looked like before and after. So that's also a way to work on just parts of the image and bring out the eyes. So I hope that you have found one of these different tips helpful, or maybe they have got you thinking in a direction that you didn't before, so that you can keep experimenting and find the perfect solution for your image. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.